This is a really long video, so if you want to skip ahead to any particular section, I'll put the times and the section headers in the description box below. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I know I said I was going to upload this video on Friday, but I've been super busy over the weekend, so I am putting it out today. But I have a lot to talk about and go over, and I'm going to try to keep it condensed. So bear with me. Today I wanted to talk about a few things. First, early signs and symptoms of pregnancy during my 2-week wait that I thought would be interesting to log. Secondly, are maybe a list of things that I thought might have made a difference this month in conceiving, in case those are useful to any of you. Thirdly, I'm just going to go over briefly how I ended up telling my husband that I was pregnant. It did not go at all like I thought it would, and I have no video, but it's a very short story, so I'll tell you guys that now. And then how I'm planning to tell my family. And then we're going to do some live testing. I've got some OPKs that I thought I would test just because I am a full-on pianistic addict, apparently. But I kind of just want to see if the OPK tests get darker and darker as my pregnancy progresses. I did register my first positive, which I'll show you guys, on 12 DPO, and it's 4 days since then, so who knows if they'll be darker by now. But then I also have a couple strip tests I've been taking daily just to monitor my line progression. And then every other day I've been taking a FREER, First Response Early Results Test. So today is my time to take my third FREER test, and I'm going to talk about how I feel about that toward that segment of the video. So I have some notes here to keep myself organized and on topic, so that's why I'm looking down. Today I am 16 DPO. I'm 4 weeks and 2 days pregnant, and I am 2 days past my period. So I've missed my period by 2 days now. So I'm still very, very early into this pregnancy. My lines are looking darker-ish each day, so I do feel somewhat confident, at least as confident as I can be this early in this pregnancy, especially coming off of the heels of a chemical, possibly 2 chemicals. I won't get into what happened in January, but the more I look at that line, the pictures and the video I had of it, the more I'm coming to terms with the fact that I think I had a super early chemical in January also. But we won't get into that now. But it is messing with my head a little bit, so bear that in mind. Early signs that I had during my 2-week wait. This probably requires a little bit of a disclaimer that this cycle, the one that I got pregnant in, 2 pretty big variables were at play. The first was that I was coming fresh off of a very obvious chemical pregnancy, and then also I started taking maca root powder every day. Either one of those or both together are very easily known for shifting your hormones a little bit. With all of that said, I will talk about the few interesting things I experienced during my 2-week wait that either were early pregnancy signs or just symptoms of my hormones being a little bit different this cycle versus others. The first was that starting on 5 DPO, and I know that's early, but it's what I logged, I have had very abnormal thirst. I'm not a thirsty person. I could eat a whole meal without any fluid at all. So for me to recognize that I am drinking a lot and I'm thirsty a lot, that's something noticeable for me. Cramps. I noted in Fertility Friend that I had experienced cramps and backache on 6 DPO, 7 DPO, and also 11 DPO. And 11 DPO, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And I didn't have any sense that my period was coming. I actually had a very reassured sense that the cramps I was feeling were just my uterus expanding a little bit. And interestingly enough, the cramps that I had on all of those days, it was isolated to my left side, and that's also the side I ovulated from this month. Also on 11 DPO, I noted that I had brown spotting, but it wasn't the spotting I normally get. It was just CM, cervical fluid, that was tinged slightly brown. So don't know what that was all about, but I did have a lot of cramping that day, so maybe sort of something got loosened up. One thing I didn't experience, speaking of brown spotting, that I feel like was a sign of early pregnancy was I have not spotted at all, except for that one time on the morning of 11 DPO, and it was so scant. Otherwise, I'm used to pretty significant brown spotting leading up to my period starting. 13 DPO, it's like the most, and then 12 DPO, it's also very noticeable, like every time I go to the bathroom. And sometimes I can even get it on 11 DPO too, but this time I have not had any, like no red, no brown, no nothing. So thank you, progesterone and body, for giving me that reassuring sign, because I feel like, at least right now, things are doing what they're supposed to be doing. On 12, 13, and 14 DPO, so these are those 3 days leading up to my missed period, that's when I got the most significant and obvious early pregnancy symptoms, and they were very, very similar to what I experienced with my daughter. The first of which was I felt like I just had a very mild hangover. I felt very worn down. You just feel gross. You're tired. Your eyes burn. Maybe you don't feel nauseous, but you just don't feel good. You're kind of hungry, but nothing sounds good, that kind of feeling. And then on top of all of that, I was overly emotional, super emotional. I would cry at nothing. My husband brought Thai food home for me on 12 DPO, and I was so happy about what he got me, which was just steamed veggies in sort of like an oyster sauce broth, that I cried. Lastly, my appetite has been a little strange. I think I'm inclined to say that I've been more hungry than usual, but it's not like a slow buildup. I'm just sort of like, meh, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, I need to eat right now, and it needs to be Thai food or Chinese food. I don't know why, but that is my thing right now. Like, I need to have Thai food or Chinese food. I'm actually gonna look up a recipe on how to make pad Thai once I'm done with this video. And the last sign that I've had, and I didn't actually log this in Fertility Friend because I had too much pride to admit this, but there is some air in my system, let's just say, and it's been pretty extreme. I mean, not extreme, but definitely noticeable. And I haven't been eating anything new or weird or different. It just is what it is. I have been just 24/7 having rumblies in my tumbly, if you know what I mean. That is my last early pregnancy sign, symptom, whatever. The one interesting thing that I don't have is I don't have any breast tenderness at all. And with my daughter's pregnancy, that was my first symptom, and it was immediate and it was bad. It felt like my boobs had been run over by an 18-wheeler. But this time I don't have any discomfort, I have no pain or whatever, and that's slightly concerning to me because I expect things to always be the same and predictable, and like I want everything to be reassuring to me, like, oh yeah, this is exactly what happened to me last time, so that's what is happening to me this time, so everything will be fine. But I know that every pregnancy is different, so I'm trying to talk myself off of the ledge. On to the things that I think maybe made a difference in conceiving the cycle. I do have a list of 5 things that I will share. The first of which was I had a chemical pregnancy last cycle, and I used maca powder this cycle. And like I said in the beginning of this video, maybe one or the other or the combination of the two seemed to have a big impact on my normal hormone levels. I had a lot more fertile cervical mucus than I normally did. I had like a higher sex drive than I normally did. And, you know, I don't know if it just perked my hormones up enough to, you know, produce a healthy egg. My ovulation was delayed by 3 days. I'm an early ovulator. This time I ovulated on cycle day 13, and I don't know if those 3 days made a difference in getting my egg a little more mature and a little bit healthier. Secondly, I looked back on my previous videos that I posted here on my YouTube channel. When you take a vitamin or a supplement, it takes 3 months from the day that you start taking something for it to actually affect the egg that you're releasing. And the one thing that I took differently in January was ubiquinol. So you can go back and watch that video, or I'll put a link in the comments or in the description below in case you're interested, because I go into great detail about ubiquinol and why, if you're older or you think you have egg quality issues, you want to take ubiquinol instead of CoQ10. But I explained that all in my other video. But I think that might have made a big difference. I've been taking 400 milligrams daily since then, and who knows, maybe that just made a better egg this cycle. The fourth thing is that I did pineapple core this cycle. I also did it last cycle, and we implanted in that cycle too. So maybe it made a difference, maybe it didn't, who knows. But if you don't know about the reason why pineapple core is important in terms of trying to conceive, you can Google it real quickly, but basically there's an enzyme in pineapple, but it's really focused in the pineapple core, called bromelain, and that helps increase your circulation and it reduces inflammation. It's supposed to make your womb a little more receptible to an egg implanting. And I took that from 1 DPO to 5 DPO. And then lastly, the fifth thing is, I've been taking my BBT temperature and I've been taking OPKs now since I think October of last year. I think it's so important to be in tune with your body, to know your natural rhythm, to not trust an app. And I know I'm hypocritical for saying that because we did trust an app with my daughter and that worked out fine, so, But an app has a algorithm based off of averages. It does not know your body. Some women have 17-day luteal phases and some women have 10-day luteal phases. That is an entire week of difference between two women who might have 30-day cycles, So an app is just going to tell you basically 14 days before your period, this is probably the day you're going to ovulate. But you might ovulate much later than that day or much sooner. So it's important at least to track your cycles for a couple months. If you find it stressful, do it at least for a couple months to establish a pattern so that you kind of know what your gig is. A lot of these things that you learn from taking OPKs and BBTs can tell you a lot about your hormone levels and maybe things that might be off balance. So I highly recommend it. So those are the 5 things that I feel like made a big difference in us being able to conceive as soon as we did. And then the rest of it is just luck. I don't really know how much of this is things that I've done versus just him. Maybe he has just a high sperm count. I don't know. Moving on, how I told my husband. So my plan was I was going to tell him that the test was negative, maybe even do a fake test in front of him, dip it in, water or diluted apple juice like I've said I was going to do in the past, and lead him to believe that it was negative because he has just as much of an idea of where I am in my cycle as I do. So he knew it was coming. And then I was going to take him to dinner a week later, take a digital test, put it in just a little jewelry box, And when we went to dinner, I was going to excuse myself for the restroom. I was going to give it to the waitress and ask her to deliver it to him with our check at the end of dinner. And then, he was going to open it up and see what was in it, and I was going to film it, and it was going to be great, right? But on 11 DPO, when I got my first positive, like really, really positive test, which was in my live pregnancy test video that I posted a couple days ago, I was so amped and pumped up and just on cloud 9 that whole day that when he came home from work, he had walked into the door and I was on the couch with my daughter and he came in and I just gave him this look and I know I did it. I was just beaming with happiness. I looked at him and he goes, "Oh no, what is it?" I tried to calm myself down and seem serious. I need you to sit down. I need to talk to you about something. And so he goes, "Oh no." So he sat down on the couch and I went to the fridge and I got a beer and I brought it to him and he goes, he's like, "Oh, okay, what is going on?" And so I had the digital, I went into the bathroom and I stuffed it in my shirt and I came back to him and I'm like, "So I need to ask you a really important question." And he goes, "What?" And then I just pulled it out and I said, "Are you ready to try this again?" And he looked at me and he goes, "No way." He's like, "You're pregnant again?" So that was fun. And then later he told me that he already knew the second I looked at him. So whatever. He's really difficult to surprise. So there you have it. How we plan to tell our family. So I have my first doctor's appointment this Wednesday in 2 days to get my thyroid checked because I'm going to need to go in now for weekly blood tests because I have Hashimoto's and I'm not currently medicated for it. So they need to keep a close eye on my thyroid so that we know when I need to start taking Synthroid, or Levoxine, they call it here. But anyway, I have an appointment this Wednesday. I'm going to talk to them about what my schedule of appointments is going to be. Typically in Sweden, you don't get your actual first midwife appointment until you're 10 weeks gestation. So that's 6 weeks from now. But I can't wait that long. And you don't get your first ultrasound until you're 20 weeks. So imagine that wait. So I am going to talk to them on Wednesday, but I'm also going to call a private clinic here and schedule a early ultrasound. And if I have a heartbeat and I get a little picture of the ultrasound, I'm going to use that and spread the news on my daughter's private Instagram account, because that's where my Swedish family members and my American family members, they're the only people who are followers of my daughter's Insta. So I kind of want to like tell everyone all in the same way at the same time, because I know my mom is missing out on so much by living in Los Angeles while I'm here in Sweden. Like, we're not even in the same time zone. I can't even like call her the same time I tell my Swedish family that we're pregnant. So I want to just put a picture together, make it really cute, and just say something to the effect of, you know, expecting baby due in January 2019, I don't know. Once we get the gender determined halfway through, then I'm gonna have a gender reveal party, and we're either gonna film it or, depending on when it is, possibly live stream it so that my family back home can watch on Skype. But I'm going to try to loop all of my family across the world into that event, because I think it's really important that my mom gets to be a part of this particularly. So that is that. Now we're on to like the live testing segment. You know, when you get a positive pregnancy test, if you think about all the things that had to happen in order just to get to the point of getting a positive pregnancy test, it's crazy. It's really crazy, the odds. So I have a very deep appreciation for what my body is doing right now, and I just pray to God that this baby sticks, because this is the first time so far that I feel worry, and I don't know why. I don't have any reason to feel worry. Everything is good, but I think the thing that worries me the most is that from 12, 13, and 14 DPO, I was feeling like super hangover-y and super emotional, and I don't feel that at all today. Yesterday, my basal body temperature actually did drop. This morning I took it, and anyway, I'm not going to take my basal body temperature anymore. It's not worth the stress. No, I don't need that stress in my life. But I am sort of having a little bit of flashbacks to what I went through, you know, last cycle, and it worries me. So right now, I'm taking every test under the sun and under the moon that I have, and I just pray to God that I see some sort of progression. We will take the live tests, and then that will be the end of the video. So hopefully this ends on a good note, because I'm already pretty scared. So these are my 12 DPO and 14 DPO clear blue tests. I don't have any more of these on hand, and I don't want to buy any more. So these are the only two I'm going to take, but this is my progression, and the lines have faded a little bit over the days, which is to be expected as the test dries, but you can see that they got darker from 12 DPO on the bottom to 14 DPO on top. And then these are my first response tests. Again, I've got 12 DPO on the bottom and 14 DPO on top, and I feel like that's a pretty comfortable line darkness over 48 hours. I think that those tests also progressed really well. This video is already over a half hour long, so I'm really sorry, you guys. But let's get to the testing. I'm super pumped. I feel really, really good now. I was worried. I think I'll always be worried. I think I'll be worried until the day I give birth to this baby, but I am super pumped. My Freer line is almost the same color as the control line. Whether I like it or not, Wednesday is the last one of these I'll be taking. Likelihood is that my line will just be the same color as the control, but we are getting really close to those lines being the same color. Anyway, I'm super pumped. And man, that one step was so dark. So, yay! Okay, now just for the sake of doing this, because I said I was going to, we will end this video with just OPK testing. So stay tuned. Yeah, so those are pretty positive OPKs. Those are the darkest OPKs I've ever seen in my life. And sad side note, those are probably the last OPKs I will ever take in my entire life. So I am slightly sentimental over that, considering as how this will be our last baby. Praying to God baby sticks and everything is healthy and we make it to a beautiful birth at the end of this journey. Those are officially the last OPKs I will ever take. So that's pretty sad. It's been it's not sad, but it's been a really exciting and informative journey I've been on. So anyway, if you are at all curious what an OPK would look like versus a pregnancy test, that top set was 12 DPO first morning urine, and so was this Freer. So that's what the line would look like on a Freer if you registered that type of positive on an OPK. And those OPK lines, I know those test strips are dry, but the test lines were just as dark as the control line. So you clearly would have had a positive, at least on a first response, long before you probably would have gotten a positive OPK. And also, I got a positive digital on Clear Blue one day before both of these tests. So you would even get a positive digital before you'd probably register a positive OPK. Anyway, and here is what 16 DPO looks like for OPKs versus a Freer. So if you don't have any pregnancy tests at home, and so you're using an OPK as a pregnancy test and your pregnancy test or your OPK looks like that, any of these, oops, then you know that your first response would look like that. So it's interesting stuff. Thank you all for watching this enormously long video. The plan right now is for me to do a weekly update. And I'm just going to consolidate, I think, anything I feel like talking about in that weekly video, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have to do more than that. Probably as I get later on in the pregnancy, I will post more, and if I have ultrasounds or anything like that, I'm going to try to vlog and capture all of that on video, so I'll post those separately. But as of right now, that is where I'm at for 4 weeks pregnant. Everything is looking good. I'm taking a daily bump picture with the hope of doing a stop motion video at the end of my pregnancy, just, you know, frame by frame showing the belly growing, so that'll be cool. And in my next video for my 5-week update, I plan to talk about what vitamins and supplements I'm going to be taking throughout my pregnancy and why. So like and subscribe if you would like to join me on this journey. I would love to have you guys. And again, if you're TTCing or if you are due in January 2019. Please drop a comment below and let me know so I can follow your channel and follow along your journey as well. See you guys next week. Bye.